Fright Fest. I fucking said hello.
All these movies coming out, basically, it's like Super 8 and stuff like that if you make a movie about kids, they gotta be set in the 80s now, it just annoys the shit out of me, you know? Like, kids should have their own culture, and they do, but it's like, but most of that culture happens in music videos and things where they can have access to, but like, when you have a big, expensive movie that has to be marketed, it's like the people that are controlling it are so fucking old, you know, and they want to make movies about like when they were kids, but that's not fair to the kids today, you know? So one of the big things that I realized about kids today is that they have retro culture. Like in the 80s, if you wanted to find out about like an old band, it would take a while because you'd have to find that record, you'd have to go to a library. You didn't have the internet. But today, like say for instance, you wanted to find out something about Morrissey, Wikipedia, you know, and they will have his entire history, like, in like a minute, and that is very, very different than anybody growing up 20 years ago. That's crazy, you know. So, so the whole idea of retro culture, the whole idea of an Urban Outfitters, where you can go buy like a retro T-shirt with like a logo, that did not exist, you know, 20 years ago. So I wanted to make a movie about kids that lived in that type of world.
I must mention that, I mean, it's interesting to see that in the last 2 weeks in England, of course, The In-Betweeners, the movie, has become the biggest phenomenon because it is actually appealing to the age group it seems to be made for. So you seem to have actually got that as well. I think now you're coming out after that, I think it will actually do extremely well. I don't know if you've had any opinion on that particularly.
I haven't seen the movie.
Ah, right. Anyway.
I just wanted to say that it's the best high school black comedy since Heathers, and it does tap into the same thing again. I just wanted to know, is there are there scenes that you wanted to add to it? Are you going to be doing an extended edition? Because Daniel Waters once said that he felt that Heathers was like Spartacus, 3 hours and an Oscar winner. But is there other stuff in there that we didn't see tonight?
No. The movie, because my shooting style is very, very specific. I don't shoot with multi-cameras, I shoot with one camera, and I shoot with very specific movements and a pre-edit. You know, the whole thing was boarded out. And the script itself was about 102 pages, and the movie itself really is about 88 minutes of story. My rough cut, when I finished the movie, came out to 92 minutes. So I trimmed that down to 88, and it's literally every scene. I didn't cut anything. I didn't cut one line of dialogue, nothing. So it's pretty much it. Like, that's the movie, and that's what I wanted to make.
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you.
Couple more.
Yeah, do you think that the whole director-producer relationship has ruined a lot of films?
I don't know, I've only made one. You know? I think the director-studio thing is harder on a certain level. Like, I always imagined that if I was going to do another movie, that I would team up with like a producer that had all the money and would protect me. But that's just not happening. So I just decided to spend my own money. So, I mean, I had producers on it, but in terms of the person that like controlled everything, the person who controlled it is the person who has the money. I had the money, so you know, that's it.
Other one?
Just wondering, who do you think would win the fight, Swayze or Seagal?
I actually know some inside story about that, and Swayze would win.
I mean, all the stuff like, you know, Laserdisc, Free Jack, all that sort of stuff. I mean, Volcano, I mean, these are just great, fantastic lines. I mean, wonderful. I mean, you must have thought really long and hard about putting those in.
Yeah, you know, my very, very first draft, because I started the script 3 years ago in 2005, right? And I needed them to travel back in time. So if you think about like just trying to travel back to the point where Ione's dad would be old enough to have her, by necessity, it was set in the 80s, you know? But because I'm so busy with like music videos and commercials, this thing took 3 years to write, not because like I had like, you know, like it was hard to write. It was just I didn't have time to write it, you know? Like, really, most of it was written, like rewritten, like in the space of 3 weeks. But that 3 weeks for me, because I'm a working director, is like me saying I'm off and I'm not gonna make any money that month, you know? So it's pretty hard. So when I first started the script, it was set in the 80s, only because that made sense traveling back 20 years. But now, because it was delayed so often, like 92 just became right, like accessible, and that's where the movie really wanted to live. And I didn't really want to go back to the 80s, but because I delayed it so long, all of a sudden the 90s became a possibility. That opened up a whole new set of Spike Lee jokes and all that other stuff.
I was assuming with your sort of like connections, you actually, it was easy to get the music clearance, was it?
No. No, that's one of the reasons why Detention, even though we premiered it like 4 months ago, hasn't come out, because the music was just a nightmare. The music costs almost as much as the movie, and it's not even a matter of like the cost on a certain level. It's like trying to get 50 Cent, you know, to like okay something. Like a track like that will cost you $1 million. So we had to like whittle them away and beg and plead and promise videos and whatever, you know. And yeah, so actually I just finished my soundtrack deal last week. So, and it's all paid for, so I think we're good. We should release the movie soon.
Great. One more before we go to bed.
Did you create animatics for this? And were you tempted when you saw the animatics, if you did create them, just to release that as the film?
No, what I did was, because it came together in a month and a half, I storyboarded about 5 pages a day on while I was casting, and there'd be like little sketch drawings that I did. Then I would send out an email, or like a Twitter actually, for any storyboard artist that would be willing to take my renderings and draw them out. And actually, one of them was from England, and he's here today. His name's Detention, so thank you very much. And then it took me about like I think right until like a couple days before shooting, I had the whole film storyboarded out, and then I had some of them rendered out professionally. But then when you get on set, on the morning of, what I'll do is I'll block out the scene a bit more, and then I'll just reboard it. You know, like it's almost like a practice run. Then I storyboard it again, and then I shoot the whole thing, and that's the way it works. I mean, I would never stick to boards just because I drew them. It's like, you gotta see if the scene is working or not, you know?